Good day and welcome to another session of Larteen Math Tribe tutorials. So in the part 1 of the fractions video, we discussed about how to use the scientific calculator to perform operations on fractions. So we learned about how to input fractions and mixed fractions into the calculator. And we also discussed about how to convert our results into decimals and mixed fractions form. We further solved some practical examples involving operations on fractions. So if you know you haven't watched the part 1 of these tutorials, the link is in the description box so you can check it out. So this video is the part 2 of the fractions tutorials, and we are basically going to discuss about how to use the scientific calculator to solve problems involving order of operations, that is BODMAS. So we will learn how to input and simplify simple and very complex fractional expressions with our scientific calculator. Now, we are going to solve some sample questions which have been designed to purposely help us to familiarize ourselves with the keys that we will be using to input these questions. So instead of manually applying the BODMAS rule to systematically solve these questions, this video will teach us how to do that simply with our scientific calculator. So without wasting much time, let us move on to the questions. So these are the questions, and we have to simplify the following expressions. So what you have to do is to first input the whole expression into the calculator, and afterwards you tap on your equal to sign. So what I need you to do is to get your calculator and simply follow my demonstration. So now, for our first question, we have 1 out of 2 divided by 3 out of 4 times 2 out of 5 divided by one whole number 3 out of 5. So I input this particular expression into the calculator. So I have 1 out of 2. So I first input the numerator, which is 1, followed by the denominator. And then I input the denominator. And afterwards, I use the arrow keys to navigate to the right side of the fraction. Divided by 3 out of 4. So I tap on the division sign. And then I tap on the numerator, which is 3. Then I activate the fraction symbol, followed by the denominator, which is 4. And afterwards, I use the same arrow keys to navigate to the right side of the fraction. So times 2 out of 5. I activate the multiplication sign. Then I input the numerator, followed by the fraction symbol, and then 5. Then afterwards, I use that same arrow key to navigate to the right side of the expression once again. Divided by one whole number, 3 out of 5. So I tap on my division sign. So in inputting mixed fractions into the calculator, you first input the whole number. And afterwards, you activate the mixed fraction sign. So the mixed fraction sign is located on top of the fraction symbol. And that particular sign is yellow in color, which means we have to use the shift key to activate it. So I simply tap on shift and the fraction symbol. And afterwards, I input the numerator, which is 3. And then I use the arrow keys to navigate to the denominator. And then I input 5. So I have successfully inputted the expression into the calculator. So I simply tap on equal to for the calculator to simplify it for us. So the answer to the first question is 1 out of 6. And if you want to convert this result into decimals, you simply tap on ST. So we have 0.1666. So now, let us move on to the second question. So the second question is also similar to the first question. So we have to apply the same procedure in entering the second question. So we have 20 out of 2. So I input the numerator, which is 20, followed by the division sign, and the denominator, which is 2. And afterwards, I use the arrow keys to navigate to the right side. So divided by, and the other expression is into brackets. So I first activate the brackets open sign. And then we have 3 whole number, 1 out of 2. So I input the whole number, which is 3. And then I activate the mixed fraction symbol. So I tap on shift and the fraction symbol to activate the mixed fraction symbol. And afterwards, I input the numerator, which is 1. I use the arrow keys to navigate to the denominator, and then I enter the denominator, which is 2. And afterwards, I use that same arrow keys to navigate to the right side of the expression. So plus 1 whole number, 1 out of 5. So plus. So I input the whole number, which is 1. And then I activate the mixed fraction symbol by tapping on shift and then the fraction symbol. Then afterwards, I input the numerator, which is 3. I use the arrow keys to navigate to the denominator, and then I enter 5. And then afterwards, I use the same arrow keys to navigate to the right side of the expression, and then I close the bracket. So I have successfully inputted the expression into the calculator. And if you want the calculator to simplify this expression for you, you simply tap on equal to. So we have 100 out of 51. And as I initially demonstrated, if you want to convert it into mixed fraction, you tap on SD. So this is SD. So we have 1.96078. And now, this particular fraction is an improper fraction, which means we can further convert it into mixed fraction. So when we check on top of the SD button, we can locate another mixed fraction symbol. And that particular symbol is used to convert the results into mixed fraction form. And it is yellow in color, which means if you want to activate it, you will have to use the shift key to do that. So I simply tap on shift and then I tap on SD for the calculator to convert it into mixed fraction. So we have one whole number, 49 out of 51. So let us move on to the third question. So when we check the third question, we can see that it is a single fraction with a very huge numerator and denominator. And because this particular expression is a fraction, when you are inputting it into the calculator, you have to first activate your fraction symbol. And after we have activated our fraction symbol, we enter the numerator. So for the numerator, we have 2 whole number 1 out of 3 divided by 2 out of 3 minus 6 whole number 1 out of 4 times 2 out of 5. So I input the whole of that particular numerator into the calculator. So we have 2 whole number 1 out of 3. So I tap on 2 and then I activate the mixed fraction sign by tapping on shift and then the fraction sign. I input the numerator, which is 1. I use the arrow keys to navigate to the denominator and then I input 3. And afterwards, I use that same arrow keys to navigate to the right side of the expression, divided by 2 out of 3. So in all the initial expressions that I have been entering, I have been using the first method of entering fractions into the calculator to enter those fractions. So in entering this particular fraction, I will be using the second method to enter this particular fraction. And for that second method, you first have to activate the fraction symbol, and then you input the numerator, which is 2. And afterwards, you use the arrow keys to navigate to the denominator, and then you enter 3. And afterwards, you use the arrow keys to navigate to the right side of the expression, minus 6 whole number 1 out of 4. So in entering this particular expression too, I'll be using the second method of entering mixed fractions into the calculator. So what I have to do is to first activate the mixed fraction sign by tapping on shift and then the fraction sign. And afterwards, I input the respective numbers. So we have 6 whole number 1 out of 4. So I tap on 6 and then I use the arrow keys to navigate to the numerator. I tap on 1. I use that same arrow keys to navigate to the denominator and then I tap on 4. And afterwards, I use the arrow keys to navigate to the right side of the fraction. So we have times 2 out of 5 times. So in inputting this fraction too, I'll be using the second method. So I first activate the fraction sign and then I input the numerator, which is 2. I use the arrow keys to navigate to the denominator and then I enter 5. So we have successfully entered the whole numerator into the calculator. So to start entering the denominator, you first have to use the arrow keys to navigate to the denominator. So I tap on the down button for the calculator to show the cursor at the denominator of this particular fraction. And afterwards, I input the whole denominator expression into the calculator. So we have 1 out of 5 times 1 out of 3 plus 2 out of 5 times 2 out of 3. So I input 1 and then I activate the fraction sign. And then I input the denominator, which is 5. Afterwards, I use the arrow keys to navigate to the right side. I activate my multiplication sign. So times 1 out of 3. So I input 1 followed by the division sign and then 3. Then I use that same arrow keys to navigate to the right side plus 2 out of 5. So I tap on 2 followed by the division sign and then 5. Then I use that same arrow key to navigate to the right side times 2 out of 3. So times, then I enter 2, I activate the division sign and then 3. So I have successfully inputted the denominator also into the calculator. So if you want the calculator to simplify it, you simply tap on equal to. So the calculator simplifies it for us as 3, which means the answer to this whole huge expression is 3. So now, let us move on to the fourth question. So the fourth question is also similar to that of the third question. And it is also a single fraction with a very huge numerator and denominator. So I first activate my fraction symbol. And afterwards, I enter the whole numerator into the calculator. So the first expression is in a bracket. So I first activate the bracket open sign. So 1 out of 2 times 2 out of 3. So I tap on 1, which is the denominator, and afterwards I activate the division sign. I input the denominator, which is 2, and then I use the arrow keys to navigate to the right side of the fraction, times 2 out of 3. So times, I tap on 2, and then the fraction sign, and then 3. Afterwards, I use the arrow keys to navigate to the right side. I close the brackets. So this whole expression minus. So the second expression is also in brackets. So I activate the bracket open sign. So 5 out of 12. So I tap on 5, followed by the division sign, and then 12. Then I use the arrow keys to navigate to the right side, divided by 3 out of 4. So I tap on the division sign. I tap on the numerator, which is 3. And then I tap on the fraction symbol, and then 4. So afterwards, I use the arrow key to navigate to the right side, and then I close the expression. So I have successfully inputted the whole numerator into the calculator. So I use the arrow keys to navigate to the denominator. So for the denominator, we have 1 out of 6 plus 7 out of 2. So I tap on 1, I tap on the division sign, and then 6. Afterwards, I use the arrow keys to navigate to the right side, plus 7 out of 2, so plus. Then I input the numerator, which is 7, followed by the division sign, and then the denominator, which is 2. So I have successfully inputted the expression into the calculator. So I simply tap on equal to for the calculator to simplify it for us. So we have negative 2 out of 33. So if you want to convert this particular expression into decimals, you simply tap on SD. So we have negative 0.0606. So that is how we input these particular expressions into the calculator. So now, let us move on to the fifth question. So the fifth question is also an example involving order of operation, but this particular question has been put in a word problem form. So this is the question. 3 measurements end to end are 4 whole number 15 out of 32 centimeters, 2 whole number 7 out of 8 centimeters, and 1 whole number 9 out of 16 centimeters. So what is the total length? So the question is asking us to find the total length. And how do we find the total length? So to find the total, it means you have to add all the other lengths, which means we have to sum all the fractions in question. So now we have 4 whole number 15 out of 32. So I input that into the calculator. So I enter the whole number, which is 4, and then I activate the mixed fraction sign. And then I input the numerator, which is 15. I use the arrow keys to navigate to the denominator. Then I enter 32, which is the denominator. I use that same arrow keys to navigate to the right side. So we are finding the total. So we use the addition sign to signify that we are adding the lengths. So plus the second length, which is 2 whole number 7 out of 8. So I tap on the whole number. I activate the mixed fraction sign. And then I input the numerator, which is 7. I use the arrow keys to navigate to the denominator. And then I input 8. And afterwards, I navigate to the right side of the expression once again. Then I add the last length. So we have 1 whole number 9 out of 16. So plus 1 whole number. So I input the whole number, which is 1. I activate the mixed fraction sign. I tap on shift, and then I tap on the fraction symbol. 9 out of 16. So I tap on the numerator, which is 9. I use the arrow keys to navigate to the denominator, and then I enter 16. So I have successfully entered the whole expression into the calculator. So we have to find the total length. So I simply tap on equal to for the calculator to calculate for the total length. So the total length is 285 out of 32. So this is an improper fraction, which means it can further be converted into mixed fractions. So I simply tap on shift and then SD. So we have 8 whole number 29 out of 32. So we can conclude that the total length is 8 whole number 29 out of 32 centimeters. So for the sixth question, we take it as an exercise. So follow the demonstration that I used to enter the previous expressions to also enter and simplify the sixth expression. And afterwards, drop your answer at the comment section. I'll review it at the appropriate time. So we have come to the end of these tutorials, and we learned about how to simplify expressions involving order of operations with our scientific calculator. I hope this tutorial was very helpful. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel before exiting this video. Like and share the video to your friends to also benefit. My name is Larteen and I hope we had an amazing time together. Thank you and have a nice day.